Hi, this is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle, and today I'm just going to give you an inside look on a relatively popular low-profile bait caster designed for larger fish, saltwater in particular. And this is the Daiwa Lexa. This is the WN300H version of that. It was sent in to me by Carlos out in California, and he said it's just not operating smoothly. I did do a little bit of a test on this earlier. There was a click, click, click going on. We're not quite sure what that is. I thought for a moment it might be the handles. As these handles loosen, sometimes there's a vibration or a shake in that, but I didn't notice that here. So I got started and I said, you know what, I'm at a point now where I can probably give everybody an inside look into this reel, as this reel is not a, it hasn't been that long since it was introduced. And some folks might want to know how it's made. Maybe they're considering buying it or something like that. So we're going to do that in a moment. But first, I got two shout outs. One of them is to Brian on Long Island. I was doing a Penn level Matic reel. That's an older reel. I think I was doing the 920. It's the little gold reel that Penn makes. And Penn, Brian noticed that I didn't have my little wrench. I had misplaced it somewhere. Well, eventually in cleaning up my workbench, I think I finally found it. But Brian was kind enough to actually go ahead and make a wrench based on this one that's got a lot more leverage to it. There's a longer extension of it, and he did it on a CNC machine. Well, boy, I don't even know what CNC stands for. Well beyond my capabilities, but through his generosity and his creativity, he was able to make this and send this on to me. And I just want to give a special thanks to Brian for thinking about me and how I might be able to use something that he could do. And that's kind of the idea or the spirit of my videos, is to do something so that you can use it and that you can prep yourself and take care of business without having to worry about whether the reel was able to be repaired or whether it was destined for the scrap pile. That's the idea behind Second Chance. That was another group I want to thank too, and that's our first responders, everybody that's involved in keeping us safe during this pandemic. Darn, just when you think we're done, we're not done. This Delta variant is really kicking us, and boy, to the medical folks, to the law enforcement, the uniforms, and everybody in essential services and the like, thank you for everything you do. You are our hometown heroes, and we really do appreciate it. Well, I got started on this Daiwa Lexa, and I took it off some of the exterior pieces and parts. There's nothing that unusual about it. There's a nice, beautiful ball bearing large handle, which would say big time game fish. There's a star adjuster. This is not a lever drag, as we can kind of figure out. Inside that, there's a couple of tension washers and a click mechanism. And then there's 4 screws that hold the case on. This one is not too difficult to disassemble. A lot of times you'll find, if you're working on a bait caster, that they're hiding some screws behind here on the back side plate. Check that. And sometimes as well they hide screws behind the spool. Again, not the case here. So let's take a look. After I've removed those basic parts, we have a ball bearing, and I think we probably have another washer or two underneath that ball bearing. Good time to tell you, if you don't feel comfortable doing these pieces, the first thing you should do is you should take the time to go out on the internet and get the schematic for the reel. If the schematic was not included with your purchase, maybe you're a second-time user and you don't have the booklet or the manual, go get that schematic. That'll give you a burst diagram of everything that's inside. It's also a good time to say take pictures, right? I do all the time. I do them on videos, but take the pictures. That way, as you're disassembling the reel, you can photograph critical points. And on those critical points, when you go to reassemble, if you have a question about the orientation of the reel or so on, they will be helpful. I just was working on a pair of reels that Lloyd out in Montana had sent in, and we didn't have the pictures, and we got stuck on the mag assembly on the non-gear side, and it took some time to go figure out just how that should lay. Well, if you had had the opportunity to take the pictures early on, some of that time could have been saved. All right, so 4 screws hold the case on, nothing hidden behind there. Pull those 4 screws and you can remove the case. Once you remove that case, wow, I mean, that's a big gear. That's how you get 6.3 to 1. The 6.3 to 1 is driven by a huge gear and a small gear, right? The basic principle behind almost every fishing reel is that a big gear turns a small gear, and a small gear somehow either turns a rotor or turns a spool to gather the line. It's pretty much a simple exercise there. Well, in this case, as we're doing this, somehow, some way, we are getting a click, click, click. Now, I'm just doing this now, and one of the things that I'm noticing right away, there's no click without the line guide moving. So I'm in free spool mode now. I can trip this. I can pull it both ways. There's no click, click, click going on. So something's going on in the line gear drive assembly itself. So kind of a clue as you do these things. You do want to test for it. And that's one of the tests that I've just done, and I'm kind of happy with that. When I do these reel repairs, before I start pulling any parts, that's a good place to take a picture. Also, I like to pull these 2 springs. I don't know why I call springs screws, but I do. These little yoke springs, boy, they tend to shoot, and they tend to be very hard to find once they do shoot. So I like to get them off the posts right away. I also like to notice how these springs are attached. Not that these are going to shoot, they're under a lot of tension, but there's a spring here and there's a spring over here. And I just generally like to make a mental note of it, if nothing else, before I go too far in the work. This one's got a right angle down into a hole in the case and a hook around this side of the jack. This one's got a hole in the case on this side. It might be a little difficult to see, so let me bring it up. There's a hole in the case here as it attaches into there. So good place to take pictures before you do much more, just in case something comes out unexpectedly and you need to go reinstall. That's a big gear, right? We're going to take that big gear off. And we're going to notice underneath that we have that click ratchet. That ratchet is going to be what this arm of the free spool release intersects with. And as you turn that gear, it's going to move it this way. It's going to push this arm back up. So this arm should swing in. Let's see if we can do that without getting too disruptive here. As you go in, it's going to push in as this ratchet rolls. Kind of hard to see here, but as this ratchet rolls, it's going to click it, push it up. Now, I don't have the hand strength to do this at the moment. I'm not set. But you will see how it will release. It'll kick out and kick up. Like that. Okay, so we notice we have a big gear. We have a plastic drive gear for this. And when that was detached, that's why your line guide wasn't moving at the time. And I'm thinking if I put this back in now, reset that, get that sealed in there, and I hear click, click, click. Well, I'm not hearing the click, click, click here either, so very interesting. So I'm trying to localize what the issue is. The issue may be in the spool because of this. All right, so we have a big gear, little gear. I believe those are Carbon Tex washers in there. I'm not going to get too involved in the service at the moment. This is your anti-reverse dog. You can take the anti-reverse dog off. That's going to sit on the ratchet as well. It's going to sit in here like this. It's a pretty loose dog there, but it'll also sit on this ratchet. And as you go to move forward, it'll spin. As you go to back it up, it will lock in. So good news there. Here's your pinion gear and your yoke assembly. When you do this, pay attention to which side is which. In this case, on the yoke, you're going to see a ramp. That ramp is what's going to get pushed down in free spool release mode. That goes to the back of the assembly. This little plastic ramp here is the corresponding one, which is going to push it down. So if you're taking them apart, if you're cleaning them up, if you're doing whatever, it's real easy to flip these around. Just make sure that the ramp is on the back side. And on the back side, there's a slotted spool, a slot for the spool in the pinion gear. And there's a flat side of the pinion gear. Just note that the slotted portion that picks up the spool also goes towards the back. So ramp towards the back, pinion gear towards the back. So that's the business end of this reel. I'm not going to service this reel at the moment. I just want to give you that inside look and a little bit of information about the reel itself. Okay, I think that's everything that can fall out at the moment. Take that drive gear off. So over on the other side of the reel then is this little mag, and the side plate should be held on just by this screw inside the mag adjuster. This is how you will be able to remove your spool. Once you pull that out, you should be able to twist it down. Take a little bit more. There you go, down, and then you should be able to pull it off. That's your mag brake assembly. This is your spool. So far I'm not seeing anything that would be going click, click, click. I'm going to look as I go a little bit further here in terms of problem diagnosis. I'm going to look a little bit towards the pawl that might be causing it. A little bit of dirt and grease maybe in the worm, but for the most part it's all about lubrication and putting these pieces and parts back together now. So we will lube the back bearing on the main mag assembly. We're going to clean off the Carbon-Tex washers, but they don't require grease. We are going to grease the main gear. We're probably going to have to pinch this down. This is the anti-reverse dog that sits on the ratchet. It seems to be fairly loose. There might not be a lot of tension there. That might be causing the problem. You just simply pinch it down. You don't touch the tips. Don't go with pliers and make sure that you grab them all the way to the end. That's not the way you do it. It's just a simple pinch. Or you can just lay it down and just tap it lightly with a hammer. We'll make sure that our pinion gear gets the grease. The bearing on the side drive plate gets oiled. A little bit of grease for the spool adjuster on that side. And we'll put the reel back together again and see if it was just a squeaky gear just calling for some oil and grease, or if there's a broken component in there. So I've got some work to do. I just wanted to show you quickly how the Daiwa Lexa WN 300 is made. I'm just checking the teeth here as I go through this. I want to check all the teeth on that worm drive gear, make sure they're not missing. I already did that on this one. But that's the inside view. I hope you've enjoyed it. It's a nice reel. I don't recall the selling price of this reel. It is well made, and it's made by a company that's renowned for its mechanical expertise and been around a long time. So if you'd like to see more of these, please take a moment to subscribe, and if you subscribe, please hit the notification button. That way you'll see all the videos that I post. If you like the video, please like it, and if you have any questions on this reel or any reel in particular, please leave them in the comments section. I do try to respond to as many as possible as I go through the day. That includes maybe you're stuck on an item in a fishing reel assembly or repair, and if my expertise enables me to give you the answer to that question, I certainly will try to do that. Again, thank you to Brian for making that little tool. That's fantastic. Thank you to our first responders for everything it is that you do. Please, everybody, stay safe, stay well, and stay watching. This is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle. Have a great day.